Here is a lecture on floor plans, and this is part 2. This deals more with the symbols of how you're going to add them to your plans. Architectural floor plans. The floor plans contain perhaps more information than any other drawings that make up a set of construction drawings. So usually that first floor has everything laid out into it, and from it you can take parts and enlarge them to make more detailed drawings. Architectural symbols on floor plans. The number of specialized symbols are discussed in this slide. These will include the grid line numbers. Let's go here. Grid line numbers, which are the long lines. You have wall and section cuts. Okay, so little areas that they're cutting into. Exterior and interior symbols. This kind of shows you an interior elevation of what you're going to look at. And then large floor plan designations. This heavy section line here will have another drawing somewhere in the construction drawings to further show more details. There are such things as a grid of numbers and letters. One side will be the letters and the top side will be the numbers, and it may vary because you may not always have a square building, but generally they create a set of columns, and with these you're able to locate and place columns or locate and place walls. Faces of other walls can also be used as control factors. So if you have hard structure, you could anchor off of this column, and they're showing you the depth away from the center of this column to the outside face of the wall. And that could be a way to use to strike measurements. And this is mostly for the person in the field building and laying out the floor plan. Building and wall section cut symbols. Here's the first symbol we're introduced to. This symbol are placed on the floor plan to show where building and wall section cuts are made and the direction of the view. So that's your eye looking in that direction, pointed by the triangle. The top number is the section number, and the bottom number is the sheet that it's going to be found on. So let's look closely here. This section is using this. They're going to cut right through here, and they're going to illustrate what's going on in the interior cavity of this 8x16 CMU wall, and we also have a masonry veneer with it. Building and wall section cut symbols shown here and shown here. They're cutting into that wall. Here's an example of keying a building section to a floor plan. Note there are only A and B letter as it is a small project, so only one sheet is used. So there's no need for the bottom number as in the former slide. Okay, so you got that part. Usually there's two things entered in here. Elevation symbols on floor plans. Elevations are known on a floor plan similar to building section cuts. You'll note that they're not highlighted in the dark there, but they are pointing to a direction like an elevation. So we're going to assume to see elevations are noted on a floor plan, and we're going to be able to see what that looks like in there with drawings. Designers can make a distinction between sections and elevations by blackening in the arrows on the section and not on the elevation. In a large floor plan, if the scale of the floor plan is too small to place all the details within a small space or in a large floor plan is created. So if there's too much going on and you decide you're just going to take this section and blow it up to half scale so you could really see what's going on, you can do that with this type of drawing. A broken line is placed around the area to be enlarged, and a symbol gives the enlarged plan a number. The lower number tells what sheet is the new drawing is going to be found on. And likewise, a enlarged plan shows for placing more detailed information. So we can see that here the grab bar is mentioned, so our plan notes, so each little item is called out and identified, and it's done so with a description note. Dimensioning floor plans, which we've been talking about. Floor plans are carefully dimensioned to locate walls, columns, doors, windows, stairs, and other particulars for construction. Some reproduction methods of copying floor plan might introduce a slight enlargement or reduction of the drawing. A note added that says, do not scale drawing following written dimensions. Follow written dimensions. So you could see they have a nice string going through here, and they have a lot of odd corners that they need to cover. Generally, dimensions such as walls are generally dimensioned to the subsurface, such as the frame. Dimension locates one side of the frame. So we talked about frame in the last video. And floor plans. All dimensions on this plan are from the one face of stud except for the wall separating the closets. And it is to the center line of the wall. So they've taken this, but they've also aligned their dimension strings so it's easy to follow. You don't have to keep changing in and out directions. So that this is a drafter forces those dimensions to line up like that for ease. As mentioned in Chapter 6, dimensioning is done in a hierarchical manner. Elements are numbered in decreasing size order. The number of dimensions on a plan depends on how much latitude the designer affords the contractor. And here we see overall dimension, the two large brackets, and then it starts decreasing as here is a section, and then finally going down to the smaller details, door opening, window opening, door opening, window opening. Another example of continuous dimensioning. So this is one where they've done it on the outside. This is for commercial construction. Dimension lines generally begin slightly away from the object, so you pull back away. If you're on a CAD system, you could feel that. In hand drafting, you'll pull away, and you're going to use the tick marks at the end. Most professional firms use the 45-degree tick mark. Dimensioning floor plans. Numerals can be placed slightly above and centered on a dimension line or within the dimension line as seen here. So you could cut them inside or you could place them on top. If an area is too small, you could place it off to the side. You could, if you can't fit all this into this space above it, you can pull this away and then just attach a line to the line that it's referring to. Materials. The designation of materials on floor plans. Floor plans are generally do not used to designate specific materials and finishes, as the plan may be too small to show these. In residential projects and large-scale drawings, a finished floor materials might be shown as seen in the next slide. Okay, so here's a nicely done finished drawing, and this one has finished highlights, shade, and shadow, which we'll get into as we produce our drawings. In design drawings, a lot of floor materials might be shown as dimensions, and other items may not be needed or to be added. Floor materials shown in large-scale drawing of a residence. Note the ceramic tile on several areas, so you can go tile. You quickly find the tiles, you kind of know where your bathroom or kitchen spaces are. Here's the laundry room. Care must be taken not to let floor textures make the symbols and notes and dimensions unreadable. Okay, so that's where the line type comes in. Hatching computer software will automatically go around these features. You could come in and erase around if you like. And then there's finished materials. And we will stop here to create a second video for the checklist for floor plans.